Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. Now, in the last video you saw, we blacked out the OEM headlights by taking apart the housing and taking the chrome rings and painting those. Also cleaned up the lenses. So if you want to see how to do that, you can go back and watch that previous video. That also covers bumper removal and it also covers removing the grill from the bumper. So in this video, we're going to block this grill out, get it back in the bumper and install it on the car because I got rust repair to do. Now, you know, I mentioned before, I repaired the rust in the dog leg on this quarter, on the driver's side, and I still have the passenger side to do. And here in Indiana, I'm sure winter is going to show its face out of nowhere. So I'm going to have to paint, so I'm going to need some decent weather to do that. Also, shout out to John Martin on Facebook. He got me a patch panel. If you don't know, he parts out mainly 06 to 10 Chargers and sells on Facebook. So if you don't follow him and you have one of these cars and you're looking for parts, go follow him. I'll try to link his info in the description here. I just reached out to him and said, hey man, next time you're parting out an 06 to 10 Charger, are you willing to cut me a patch panel? And he said, hell yeah, he will. So he cut this out and sent it to me, which saved me because I cannot find a passenger rust-free dogleg section. I was lucky enough to find the one for the driver's side at a couple yards here. Every single car, the passenger side was rusted. There was like 2 or 3 good driver's sides, and there was total maybe 7 or 8 Chargers between the 2 yards. So he really saved me. So go support him for doing the dirty work on getting parts for these cars that otherwise would probably just end up in the scrap. All right, so we gotta get this grill apart and clean the plastic dip off of it because somebody plastic dipped it and left a bunch of residue on there, and get it sanded, get it painted, back on the car. All right, like I said, if you want to know how to remove this along with the bumper, just go check out that video of the headlight blackout and it'll show you how to remove the bumper and then get this grill out. Now, we got to separate the honeycomb insert from the housing. And it's just these tabs all around. Kind of a pain. But once you start getting a couple, the rest will start popping out pretty easily. So let's get that done. All right, got them separated. Look at all this. So excited to remove all that. Now the grill also has it, unfortunately. Now I'm not going to sit here and try to peel all that off, so I think I'm going to try to soak that in WD-40 and let the WD-40 eat any plastic dip off of the honeycomb. And that should remove it and not harm the plastic. I don't want to use anything too crazy that could possibly damage the plastic. So I think soaking this in WD-40 and hopefully that'll just melt off. I could use a stiff bristle brush and just brush it off of there. And that should clean up the grill, the honeycomb part of it. I think I'm gonna do that first, get that soaking, and then start working on getting this plastic dip off this part of the grill, and then we can sand it. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit and see if it starts eating the plastic dip off of there. All right, I went ahead and decided to do the WD-40 on this grill too to see if I could just soften that plastic dip up and just wipe it off. Same thing as this. So I'm gonna go ahead and try, see if I can get some of this, see if this wipes off. That's working. It's starting to get soft. Might take a little rubbing to get it all off, but better than trying to peel it, that's for sure. So let me work on that a little bit and then I'll see if that starts to come off too. All right guys, the WD-40 is definitely working. I got this whole section cleaned. You can still see that silvery plastic dip up there. And also the grill, it's working on the grill too. Got that whole section cleaned off. Still a lot more to go and it's kind of a pain, but it's better than sitting here trying to roll it off. On the grill, I'm just using a plastic scraper and that seems to just scrape it right off. See that? I mean, this is getting sanded and painted anyway, so I'm not really worried about scuffs or anything. So I'm gonna take some time and get these all cleaned up and then finally start prepping that for paint. All right, and a little tip, if you want the WD-40 to work better on soaking that plasti dip, I'm gonna wet this down. And I'm gonna take a paper towel. Let's cover the area. I'm gonna soak that paper towel. Like that. And that'll keep the WD-40 on the plastic dip that you wanna remove and keep it soaked instead of it just running off. And that should help speed up the process. All right, I know it looks like arts and crafts here, but if the WD-40 does all the hard work for me, then I say it's a win. So now let's just sit and wait, and I'll come back to it in a little bit, and hopefully that plastic dip just wipes off. All right, after a bunch of cleaning, I've got this pretty much where I like it. Got all the plastic dip off. The WD-40 with the paper towels definitely helped. It basically just wiped off. I got it all clean. I even used some tire and trim detailer and just used this brush and brushed it all in all these pockets. And took a screwdriver and a towel and cleaned all the pockets out so it's nice and clean. Cleaned the back side as well. So that's all clean. I think I'm happy with how that looks. So it should look good, snap back in the grill. And as far as this, I got most of it off, maybe 90%. Still see a little residue in some places, but I feel like that'll just sand off when I go to sand it. So I degreased it really good. Obviously, you don't want to start sanding something until you've clean the surface. I'll probably wipe it down with wax and grease remover just to get any oil or wax or anything that's left on here out of it, because you don't want to sand it into the paint when you're scuffing it. So I'll probably do that. And then this does have some clear coat peel there and there, a lot down here. So I'll probably hit all this with like some 320 just to smooth all that out, and then scuff the whole thing with a red Scotch-Brite, and it should be ready for some primer. All right, I got all the clear coat peel faded in, and I just wanted to show you, if you could see that reflection right there, the glossy, that's how you know that you still need to feather that a little bit more. So if you're ever doing something like this where you have clear coat peel and you're trying to fade it and blend it back in so you can paint, that tells you right there that you still need to sand a little bit more right there. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I got the whole thing scuffed. It's a nice dull color, so it should be ready for some primer. All right, there it is, all primed. I went ahead and gave it a nice little scuff again, very lightly, just to get any dust or anything out of it, or any dry spots out of the primer. So now it's ready for some black. And I'm just going to use this Rust-Oleum Ultra Matte. It should leave a nice finish on there. So let's get to painting. All right, got 3 coats on there. I think it looks pretty good. Now the fun of letting paint dry. So hopefully I can let this sit overnight and maybe it'll be dry enough to snap the honeycomb back in there and put it back in the bumper. All right, there it is, all put back together. Looks really, really good. Now, time to put back in the bumper, but you guys already know there's no way I'm putting that grill back in there with the bumper dirty, so I'm gonna clean that up and we'll throw that back in there. All right, it's about ready to go back on. I did take some time kind of clean up in here, all through here, and then down in there. Just because I also cleaned up in here, just so all the dirt's out of there. I know it doesn't really matter too much, but I'm all about the little details, getting all the dirt out of this seam. You may not think you see it, but it actually will show and make that seam darker than what it should be. And I feel better that it's all clean in there. Just like in the last video you guys saw, I detailed all this in here. Looks way better, all clean. So now I think it's time to get that bumper on. It's gonna look pretty sweet. I got the clips up there and a couple bolts holding the bumper on. I still have to do the wheel well bolts, but I wanted to see how it looked, and that looks awesome. Cleaned all up in here, detailed these plastics, even found some new bolts for in there to replace these crusty ones. The bumper still needs some love. There's a lot of chips and stuff, but I'll get there. And speaking of details, so I got these LED bulbs here, and the base on them is silver, and I didn't want the silver to show when it's in the black housing corner lights, so I just wrapped the bases in some matte black 3M vinyl so that all you see is the actual clear part with the LED. So that way it's all black in there except for that part. So let's get those in there so we can see this thing complete. Oh yeah, that worked out perfect. You can't see the housing of the bulb. It blends right in, everything's black. So all you see is the little lighting element. I think that looks good with the headlights. And the grill combined with both. Looks awesome. I love it. All right, let me button this up. I gotta do the wheel well bolts, unfortunately still, and find some push pins for the wheel well liners for each side. And then we'll wrap this up. All right, got it all wrapped up. I think it really makes the front end look so much more aggressive. The black housing fog lights with the headlights blacked out and the black corners with the black grille really pops on that Tor red. That's looking good. I did find some clips, some push pins in here, and they are now removable. I believe it's a 8mm shank. So if you're looking to do this and need some push pins, there you go. I just had those laying around. I'm very happy with the outcome of the front end. Like I said, the bumper still needs touched up and polished. Ideally, it should be repainted, but I'm just gonna try to touch it up and polish it for now, just because I have that rust to do on the passenger side, which I'm getting ready to start. And there's the LEDs. I already had LEDs in there, and I added the corner light ones. And of course I went with the amber. Just like I said, trying to keep a OEM look, but more updated. All right, well that wraps this up. I'm gonna drive the car because it's been about 2 weeks of the car sitting in the garage and I haven't been able to drive it. So I'm gonna enjoy it for a couple days and start that rust repair in the passenger recorder and hopefully get that knocked out while we still have some decent weather here. Now I did hit that 500 subscribers, so keep an eye out for the burnout video because it's up next. So I appreciate all you guys subscribing and thanks for watching the videos. I appreciate it. That's it for this. I'll catch you on the next one.